Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? So good to see you on this prosperity day. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing fine. Hope you're feeling groovy and hope that all the time. Yeah, I just made the rhyme. Hello, everybody in the chat room. What's up? Good to see y'all. Oh, 1 second. I got it's weird hearing yourself in the microphone, it's like, wow, it's kind of cool. Yeah, time travel is true. It actually works. Can you believe it? So, what's up, everybody? Brandon, how are you, good sir? Haven't seen you in a while. Jackie, Jay, right back at you. Let me just speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Voiceover by Stephanie. What's good? Grand afternoon. It is, and it is a happy Monday. It really is. It's a very groovy energy. I think energy can be groovy. That's how I look at it. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, Ariel, good to see you. Sean, hello. Nina, what's up? Sent you back email, Miss Nina. Check it out. Lauren, how you doing? Ginger grin. Let's see. John, what's up? Linda Espinoza, how are you? And Lori, saw Deborah in there earlier, and CJ and Blazing River. Loretta, what's up? So, Doris, good morning, back at you. Well, I think technically it's here. It's noon, 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's right, Lauren. It is a fact. You speak that in your life. And you allow the universe to get in sync with that, and holy crap, stuff happens. That's all I got to say. Um, okay, I didn't see it, Nina, so I've been busy a little bit here. So anyway, uh, well, Doris, gonna make me blush. Emperor Rex, how you doing? But thank you. That's very kind. Get me all choked up here. So cheers, everyone. I see Gaia is here. Paul as well. How are you? Good to see you. Rick, what's up? Vibes of the Soul Trippers. That's true. Mm-mm-mm. So I'm going to share this, Colleen, your email that you just sent. So check this out, y'all. Let me first of all, I have to pull that up. There we go. That's right. The bus is now officially leaving. All aboard. Here we go. So Colleen sent this to me. She says, the god of finance, commerce, and wealth is Mercury. She says, I have this coin. I decided to take a closer look at it. That face looks like a man. On the back, the fire and the torch looks like the wings, Mercury's wings, and then the dollar sign, the Caucasus. And notice it says, trust in God, not in God we trust. Yeah, I'd say that's a dude's face. I think that's a god. I'm going to be talking a lot about that, but looks like a god and a dude to me. Androgynous. I don't know. And look at there. Trust in God. Hmm. I mean, that one seems a little bit more open because I guess in a sense, we all trust in ourselves. Does that make us a god? Hmm. And then anyway, I agree, Colleen. Those look like wings to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. I did. So let me get back over here. As I get over here, man, it's so weird to see what you just said and just recorded being replayed live. I guess that would be a resurrection. It'd be something. So symbolism everywhere, everywhere. What can you say? Had an interesting weekend. Attended little political get together. You know, you look at things sitting back. I don't know if this knowledge is a gift or if it's a um, heavy load. It decide where you want. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. But as you sit there, and I am, and watching all of this unfold, I was asking myself, okay, these people all rally around the flag, God, etc. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I guess if you're going to rally around a flag, I guess the American flag is as good as any. I don't know. So, and it's all about God, all about God. But what was really interesting is that a couple of the individuals were kind of like re-election, and you can go back and you can look at their record, and well, either they lied or they lied. And then how does that reconcile with so-called God? Because, Jesus obviously seems to be a Republican. I mean, that's how they paint it. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking to myself, this is a mind worm. What's being spoken is rhetoric. It's not like it hasn't been spoken before. And you have to clearly define, the bad guy, the antithesis. And if you sit back and you watch a group, a crowd, it's almost kind of freaking spooky. Because what it really makes spookier is the fact that there was a time where Lynn and I were like in that crowd and we were doing the rah, rah, rah. And you look at it now and you almost can start going, what is happening here? And this mind worm, now it's on both sides because we're at a time of extremes. I mean, really extremes. I mean, if you're one of the neutral people, kind of just like in the middle and saying, that side's crazy, that side's crazy, they're both crazy. There needs to be a third party, a third thought put into this. Well, I guess technically it would be the second thought because the first two, while their most incestuous relationship, they fuck each other. Hate to be blunt, and that's figurative and literally. What? I mean, the whole thing, you hear these stories and you're going, are they serious? Do they even hear themselves? And then they'll get into a sacred building, supposedly, and then get into the pulpit. Yeah. And lie deliberately. Lie. And they're not alone. And as you watch, because it's almost like, they're baptizing where they're meeting as a cathedral, and when you see this from both sides, looking at both sides, it leaves me to wonder, what God are these people bowing down to? I mean, when I came out of my religion, those, it was taught that you would know a person by the fruit they bear, not by the words they speak, but by the fruit they bear. In other words, what do they do? And if that measure was held as today, then under my former religion, these are all worshipers of Satan. All of them. They lie. They deceive. They create false illusions. They accuse. Those are all attributes of Satan. So do we see, but we cannot see or perceive that these are all Satanists that are in these positions of power. And that in order for you to be in a position of power, you really do worship. Now, you'll say you worship the other guy. I mean, look at Joe Biden. He says he's a Catholic. I have to say, by the fruit that the man bears, something's wrong. So is it that they're all, and not Luciferians? Luciferians wouldn't have them. But I'm hearing this, and so I'm in this thing, right? And I asked the question to one. I said, so what's a promise, a campaign promise? Isn't that a bond, of a contract? Person said, yeah. And I said, so why did you break 2 of them already from the last time you ran? I said, does that make you a liar then? He says, I do not lie. I said, well, then you're lying again, because everybody lies. And then he got a little uneasy, and, it was like I made my point. I said, how can you be this, what you say, but you do something completely different? Well, sometimes you have to make hard decisions. So I said, you're a liar then. I mean, it's all right. If that's the case, just be honest about it. I guess liars don't. You're going around, I'm going, hey, RF, what's up? Elderberry, good to see you. Gilbert, what's up, brother? S. Lee, good to see you. Hello, Ann. So anyway, it got me to thinking. So there is a controlled message. It's real. I wrote this question. I said, in my little notes here, I said, so is this about control? I think the obvious answer would be yes. You got to control the masses, mass media, social media, mainstream media, alternative media. It's just like a religion, just a different denomination. It's all connected to the control of thought. And then the question I had to ask myself, I said, so am I being controlled? Are you? I mean, we question everything here. There's no place here that you can hide. We question everything. We question the rationale, the origin, the logic, the illogicalness of it, like symbolism. We're going to get back into this book this week. We have got to study the 2 areas particularly, well, 3, the pyramid, the number, and then this perceived eagle. And just to let you know, we're going to be getting into it. I've been having the most interesting time reading my book on Chinese mythology. There's something going on here, because this story is much older than the other stories. So someone plagiarized someone else's beliefs. Anybody want to guess which one it is? Anyway, fascinating. Fascinating. So getting back to this control thing. So are we being controlled? Does opening the mind in studying the occult, the apocrypha, other modalities of thought, is that a form of control? Because again, you get back to all the media. So is the media a god? Is it a living God? Now, let's take the supposition of the point of view that we're going to say it is. So, where did this God come from? The interesting thing about the printed word, it's a form of mind control. We read the words, the thoughts of that who penned it. And that unleashes a spell. You speak the words, you speak the spell. But most people say, oh, no, 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 no. It doesn't work that way at all. Yeah, it does. So if that's the case, now the printed word can be a symbol as well. A symbol can be a word, just as well as a word can be a symbol. All right, so follow me on this. So it seems like when our species decided that, hey, I want to send a letter. I want to send a letter to my good friend, Deborah Sloan. Well, I can't speak it because she ain't going to be there to hear it. So, in order for me to express that, then there has to be another way. Now, if I did not know that intuitively, and if I did not know it intuitively, then that meant someone had to teach me or suggest a thought. Well, why don't you figure out a way that you could do symbols, sigils, letters, and then let's just say that was a friendship level expressing an emotion, right? Well, the letter carries that emotion, that energy. It's alive because that's what it expresses. So follow me on this. So who would have been the one responsible then to have put the thought in there? And if that's the case, then could you not then assume that that would be a God? Not saying the God, but a God. Pretty powerful God if you think about it. Because if our minds are so susceptible to thought, all of us channel. You're either channeling yourself or you're channeling something else. There is no other way around it. It's a fact. So now follow me on this. So what we've done here is that we have been able to capture an emotion into words, into symbols, and I can pass that on. That sounds like magic to me. That's powerful shit. I mean, seriously. It's like back in the day. I remember when I got some Maui gold. Holy crap. Like, man, if this is what they got on the islands, surf's up, baby. I'm going. But anyway, my point is, it's powerful. So if that is the case, then this thing called media, which encompasses everything now. digitally, written, spoken. So it's gotten all three elements. That's a powerful God. And if you step back further and you look at what's happening today, this God, it's like the old expression, be careful what you wish for. So I'm wondering if this God that controls thought, that's what it's all about. Now, I don't know if this is a Middle East God. I don't know if this is a Far East God. I don't know if this is a Northern God, a Southern God, but it's definitely deeply embedded in the Western culture and thought. A little troubling because if it didn't originate in the West, then that means it may have come from the East. And when you look at media, look at YouTube, this platform here. This is an extension of a powerful collective of thought. It's captured every element of the aspect of who and what we are. That's never happened, at least not that we have records of. So what if this God is overwhelmed? What if this God said, it was fine when there were less than 1 million of them, but now there's getting almost to be 10 billion of them. This is out of hand. I don't know what to do with this. It's too much. Or is this some, I don't know what you want to call it, a deity, an entity? Back in my past, I dated a news anchor. I was involved heavily with the media. I was a chapter president of the International Television Association. I belonged to a number of professional organizations that strictly dealt with the media, news. I got to know a lot of news people. It's the industry I was in. I was in the post-production industry. And being a part of these organizations, you get, as I look back now, holy crap, I didn't have any idea what I was really learning. It's taken nearly 20 plus years now. I look back more than that, about 30. And this is why I can speak on this. You see, if you're like a news morning anchor, so how the news cycle works, and Ted Turner revolutionized the whole thing of what we call news. Ted Turner turned on the switch for the 24/7 reality that we live today. Prior to that, there was a systematic ritual that took place. And the ritual went like this. You would have typically the news director who comes in really early, about 4 a.m. is when the first, as they would say, bulletins start coming across the wire. So that person is basically told what particular stories to broadcast, to talk about. You got the talking heads, those are the news anchors, and that's all they are. They're just talking heads. The thing about selling your soul to this God called media, doesn't happen at one time. It's a very slow, methodical process. Now, some people can't do it all the way. They realize what's happening. They say, hell no, not do it. Others have no problem with it because there's great power here. And why does an individual want to be the oracle for this God we'll call media? Well, recognition, number one. That's really important. Got to have recognition. And that energy is by all those people staring at that mirror, that black mirror we call a computer monitor, a television screen, whatever you want to call it. It's exactly what it is. This is Magick in real time live. And so it's powerful. You look at your ratings. And the thing about it is, you know what the best news is? Bad news. Bad news. It's the elixir of this God. Bad news brings this powerful energy out of beings like us. Because it's more than just your mind. Because if I can control your mind, I can eventually control your spirit. People would say, oh, no, 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 no. Yes, 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 yes. Didn't say I could own your spirit. I can control it. Because most people don't control their spirits. Most people are completely cognizant of the fact that they even have a spirit. Doesn't enter in their mind, and therefore it doesn't really matter. And that's the way it's supposed to work. And so this control. Now, if anything opposes my message, how am I going to react when that opposing story comes in? I use it. The opposing view I can use it against my enemy. Well, this is some wild crap. The printed word, back in the days of where print was the only medium, more spells were cast on that because why? People craved that news. It gives us a sense of community, but at the same time, we're voyeuristic in this. We love reading tragedy. Fuck the good things. I mean, people take the attitude, oh, yeah, I'm really happy for you. And the whole time they're thinking, you sorry son of a bitch. Why in the hell didn't I get that? I've been waiting. I'm just as good. And you see, yeah. I mean, folks, it's powerful. And I'm sitting here watching this. Now, if those people really knew who and what I was, I don't think they'd let me through the door. Because they can't handle people like us. Because you become very quickly identifiable. If you keep your mouth shut and observe, you can learn a lot. But if you're like me, I like to engage in conversation. Using discretion, of course, but subtlety was never my best game. So, Paul Joe, thank you, brother. And so we're leaving it, and Lynn and I are talking, and I said, they don't realize that they're more into the occult than I could ever hope to be. They're so deep into it, they don't realize it's the occult at all. Why, no, this is how good, and I'll just say, good conservative Christians behave. Now, you've got the same thing over on the Democrat side. It's just that the Democrats are less uptight. But don't fool yourself for a second. They're serving a God of some sort because they can't get elected unless they pay tribute to this God called media. Kind of like, praying to your God, praying that God will bless you, that God will help you buy a new car, that God will get you a raise. And in all those cases, as you're praying to this God, it would then mean that someone else who was supposed to get that car, but now this God has decided that you get that car because that's the way it goes. Just a matter of your perspective, right? Um, a frequency is put out, mind control. Yeah, I mean, it is so true. But one thing I learned about years in the video post-production industry is that that screen we're looking at, it's hypnotized us. I don't care what you're looking at. You are hypnotized. Now, you can walk away from it, turn it off, but it's in here now. You may forget about it. Doesn't matter. My point is, these screens flicker at a certain rate per second. We used to use a technique where we could put one frame inside a video frame, which is 30 frames per second. And within that 30 frames, I can manipulate one or two different frames. You'll never see it. You'll never recognize it. But this does. A lot of people think that beer commercials, they always would put, scantily clad women and what have you. No, they put food in there. Women don't mean shit. The food does. Because if I happen to be a beverage company, I may have a subsidiary that provides the snacks. And that's what I want. I want to control your mind. And if you're looking at a television, watching a movie, you're hypnotized. That's why the movie becomes so real. You're hypnotized. But you didn't know that, did you? Rick says, we're all flickering here. Ah, there you go. And it's true, though. Yeah. It's like how some people can be induced with epileptic fits by strobing. This is on a subtle basis that you're not even aware of it. Now, that's a powerful tool, isn't it? And if you're this God, because this God is worldwide. I mean, I'm only versed to one part of the United States where I live. I realize that there are so many good people here listening, family, we're the tribes here, all over the world. Go-Go's all the way over in Croatia. Think of Jennifer and Susie and David Barry and all of them. They're over there in England. I mean, it's all over the world. Yet we're immersed in this thing. And you got to ask yourself, well, so what are we doing this for? I mean, is there an ultimate purpose for us? I mean, the thing is, as you start gaining more and more of this so-called occult knowledge, it begins to kind of filter you out. You ain't looking at things anymore. It's like you have this ability back in the day when I was a kid, in the comic books, you could buy the X-ray glasses. I think they were like 39 cents plus postage, which I think was about a penny. But anyway, where we can actually put on the X-ray glasses, and what we're seeing is this framework of this energy. So anyway, Joyce, are you serious? How are you doing? Be very careful of that rabbit hole. Well, I'm just looking for lunch, Joyce. Just kidding. Hey, Regina, happy springtime. I think that's tomorrow, isn't it? The equinox. Anyway, by the way, Esley, that's a great song. Smokey Robinson, Tears of the Clown. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, I digress. So I have this, pulling this up again. So finishing out where the news starts coming in, this is how the cycle begins. There's variations of the theme. Back in the day when we were bringing pay at the table to the United States, hard to believe that, back at 2005, there was no such thing as pay at the table. I was part of the group that we invented it. And so anyway, my point being, we knew I hired a one of the best PR companies at the time. They were in Atlanta. And I mean, these people were fucking phenomenal. Creative minds that they had the grasp of everything. It was a pleasure working with them. And to roll this out for America, I, as the CEO, I did between 4:30 and 10:30 Eastern time, I did over 52 live news interviews. The power of that, it was called a satellite news media tour, that's what it was phenomenal. Put us on the map. And so I know the power of this. Now, social media has, in some ways, I think, lessened it. It's kind of convoluted it to a degree, but then again, it's also expanded it out. So, and again, if you're a god, think about this. That's some pretty powerful stuff. You've got influence now. We've talked about the internet. Is it a weapon? Is it really a tool for humanity, or is it a tool of control? So, anyway, going right on along. See that the Listra, we got some really good moderators in here. We welcome all points of view, but respect is of the utmost importance at all time. It's just the way it is. So anyway, so moving right on along, continuing with the theme, I thought that this would be kind of cool. So this is the Infernal Dictionary. This is the devils, the gods, and spirits. My French is not as well versed, and the original publication of this was in all French. I have a copy of that if you happen to speak French fluently. Love to get it to you. So I want to take a look at the characters. So this is Diabolito Ordo el Gol. Talks about, and we've shown some of these on these creatures. The Demigraphia. It's weird. So let's get the first character. So I want to go through this. So because I got a sense in a way. So this is a Bigor, the Bigor. There's someone, in who was this that see, this cat is the demon of the higher order, Grand Duke in the Infernal Monarchy, 60 legions. Again, we've seen these guys talking about abracadabra, right? So weird. So he's got feet as a snake. Just so weird. And of course, everything's got symbology behind it. What are they wanting? And there's one. I don't know. Where am I at on this? I wanted to actually get beyond all of these here gods, as they would say. But you have to admit, that is some strange strangeness. I know we've looked at these in order in past, but still, I often wonder, is there any basis, threads of reality that such creatures exist? Some would say yes. But a human mind, was able to draw these out, and I'm going, yeah. I've always liked this one here. This one, we read about this one before, the Grand Marquis. Anyway, as I continue, let's see if we can get to this. And they're all there. If you want it, I actually have this in a PDF. Let's just check that cat out. Is this some creative stuff or what? I think it outdoes a lot of what I see in the modern day. I mean, I gotta say, I just love a mind that just can, you know, create this. It's like almost reading a Marvel comic, right? And there was a point to this. Although I have to say, if a world like that exists, folks, I don't know. What do you think? If there's an actual realm where such demons, demigods, that they take on animal form, somewhat of human form. Well, that's a dog face. That's just some weird stuff, folks. I mean, and as I continue to go on these, I mean, I don't know about you, but what are they battling? Is it us? Are we the ones that are the enemy here? I mean, are we the ones that are the abnormal ones? If there's truly in the spirit realm, these creatures, I don't think most people are ready for that. I just don't think so. I mean, most people that I know would freak the hell out. You got a talking eagle? What? I mean, most people go, hell no. And then you be talking to someone and you realize, oh, they can shapeshift? And the snakes. I wonder if these creatures brush their teeth. Do they eat? And I guess that means they defecate. Do they have toilet paper in the ethereal realm? I'm assuming you would have to wipe your butt one way or the other, right? I mean, if you eat, I mean, I don't know, maybe that doesn't happen over there. But I just kind of think to myself that, they talk about eating, consuming. Humans, I guess. I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, why would you want to do this? Anyway, seriously? This was not my intent. I got the wrong file up, but as I'm here, I'm just going, okay. I mean, I'm just asking, it's like, seriously? You meet a creature like this, even in the, what I would call the astral realms. I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, seriously? And so if these creatures are, again, so fearsome, what are they attacking? Again, who's their enemy? Or if this is a subtle form of mind control, I don't know. There's Moloch. It's not how the Israelis painted him back in the day. This is a little more toned down, a little more grander, I guess. There we go. Um, we continue down this trail. It's fun. I'm just looking at this. So if it's going to get this tempest, this Nicar, why? And if you're a ship, why is it picking on that? I mean, are these the real gods that we're susceptible to? I don't know. I mean, how is this any different than Dante's? Hmm? And his whole depiction of hell. How's this any different than that? I wonder which influenced the other. This was probably more influenced by him, but and the little people, St. Patrick's Day was yesterday, completely passed over my awareness. Anyway, so it's not the intent, but I'm having fun with it. So what the hell? Okay. I mean, wow. I swear I'm almost like Tolkien's the Hobbit. It's like Middle Earth does exist, huh? All right. This was not the intent, but it has been really fun. Crazy stuff. And I wonder if this is why we're so freaking nuts. Okay. Let's stop that one. And give me 1 second, folks. I was not going to have that one up there. But it sure enough came up. Like, gee. Okay. I love it. This is live. Well, it still gets back to this thing about control. It really is. The whole thought. And, it's like this political, as they call it, the crazy season. It is crazy. And I would advise all of us to get as far away from it as possible. Because you get sucked into that vortex, it's going to take you places you don't want to go. And how about the saying of heaven? The search for God opens the door to the devil. I mean, yeah. So, all right. I had other things here planned, but I love it when a plan comes together. It's like, yeah, right, Steiger. Um, so, do you believe that? I guess it would be the question that we're actually controlled by an invisible spirit, a spirit being. Do you believe that it has influence on the destiny of our species? Do you believe that it has a personality, a gender? Do you believe that it has exert control over your life personally? Do you believe in spirits at all? I mean, most people in this room, I would say that if you're in this conversation, it would be yes. And someone sent me an email. I was out most of the weekend, but I was catching up on them. And it's real interesting because this group that I was in, they held this prayer thing, right? And of course, they ended it invoking this name of Jesus, in Jesus' name. And I'm sitting back and I Lynn kind of hit me in the side, like, don't say it. But I'm thinking, I'm rejecting it, number one. I'm not participating in it. But I said, this is how spirits enter in. This is how portals are open. You have a group invocation calling a specific deity or entity, given a name that did not exist originally, but now has become basically the gold standard. Now, I'm respectful, but I won't participate. But it's interesting. And so it got me to thinking, and there is this particular paper I found called The Holy Book of the Great Invisible Spirit. Now, this actually comes from the Nag Hammadi. And in this book, it talks about it that there's two versions of this book that was lost. And I still find it particularly suspect that this book called the Nag Hammadi was found in this Ethiopian church. When it was found, and how, although the world or the scholars have known about it, that it's been rejected because they can't accept that version of the story because it will show that their version is completely corrupt, which then brings up the question, so which fucking god or gods are we dealing with here? This one has great implications, particularly here in America, because you have got this division that is becoming broader and broader of two totally opposite views. But yet I see the very thing that the ones who will reject this side of the story are using the same principles of the very thing that they say they reject. So anyway, this one is the Holy Book of the Great Invisible Spirit. Also, it was inappropriately called the Coptic Gospels of the Egyptians, which is quite distinct from the Greek Gospel of the Egyptians. I mean, it just depends on which particular flavor you like. Were among the codices in the Nag Hammadi Library discovered in 1945. Does anyone else find this suspect? What happened in 1945? Well, World War II ended. When this entered into the world again, there was a geopolitical shuffling of the deck. And subsequently, what was coming out at the same time, something that had been discovered nearly almost 80 years prior to that by George Smith with the museum there of London, where he discovered the Sumerian tablets. So you all of a sudden have this gates that are opening where it is now pouring into this reality. By the way, that was a fun discussion last week. Of these two different stories that so impact the current one today. They can't allow it to happen. Anyway, it says the main contents concern the Sethian Gnostic understanding of how the earth came into being, how Seth, in the Gnostic interpretation, is incarnated as Jesus in order to release people's soul from the evil prison that is creation. Why aren't y'all saying anything? Creation itself is a prison. When you read this book, you quickly determine that we got no business being here. We shouldn't be here. I don't think that that was my destiny at all. Anyway, it says that the holy book of the Egyptians about the great invisible spirit, the Father, whose name cannot be uttered, who came forth from the heights of the perfection. Doesn't this sound like the Liber Lilith? The light of the eons of light, the light of the silence of the providence, and the Father of the silence, the light of the word and the truth, the light of the incorruptions, the infinite light, the radiance from the eons of light of the unrevealable, unmarked, ageless, unproclaimable Father, the eons of the eons, autogens, self-begotten, self-producing, alien, the really true eon. Three powers came forth from him. They are the Father, the Mother, and the Son from the living silence. What came forth from the incorruptible Father? These came forth from the silence of the unknown Father. Has anyone got the GPS coordinates on this? Because I am freaking lost now. And from that place, the Domadon, the Dexomedion, came forth, the eon of the eons, and the light of each one of their powers. And thus the Son came forth, the Mother fifth, the Father sixth. He was but unheralded. It is he who was unmarked among all the powers, the glories, and the incorruptions. Going to be a test. Hope you're taking notes. Oh, the class is almost ready to end. Too bad. We'll pick up back up on this because it gets in story again with what we have been reading, that if these gods exist, one would assume they do, at least in some form. Someone wrote it. Either they were writing a play or they actually believed this. And I don't know who was channeling it to it. I wasn't there. But it blows up the whole concept of this being born, you're going to die, you're going to have judgment, you're going to have this life review, and then you're going to come back, or you're going to go there, or I don't know. Nowhere really is a place. But anyway, what's that? Don't go anyway. My sponge is almost full. The story does get interesting. We might pick it up tomorrow with the ladies. I mean, because I've read this a number of times, and I know it's all the Apocrypha. I get that. But I don't believe that book that out there that I spent nearly in sincere earnest over 40 years studying the same book over, over, and over again. And you realize that there are older books than that book, and that book was manipulated, put together, written as a play. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all this controversy. Well, did Jesus live or didn't he live? If he had lived, there would be no controversy about it. We would have busts. We would have paintings. Well, if he was as smart as he said he was, why didn't he write anything? He didn't know how to write? Well, he certainly knew how to read ancient Arabic. So he ain't going to write nothing? Hey, and folks, I mean, it's not disrespecting any religion. It's simple. If I can show you a bust of Vespasian. By the way, I had a group where I had to bring that up. Said, well, I got a problem with, they asked me if I was a Christian, and no. You know what? They got in the whole thing. I said, well, can you answer me this one question? There were 6 of them. Who was Vespasian? What? Never heard that name. And I said, thus, my point. Okay. And I meant no disrespect. I mean, it is just a fact. If do we debate? Did Buddha, did he ever live? Think so. I could go through a number of those who were before us. Confucius, Did he live? I think so. I got pictures of him, the whole bit. And it would just seem to me that if this was the so-called Son of God, why would he let an inferior human write his story? That doesn't make sense. Because the stories, when they go side by side, they don't make sense either. Their chronologies are all wrong. I mean, so what's going on here? It gets right back to where we introduced this thing about this media, this control of us, our heads, our thoughts. And if I got to question that dude, then I got to question the other dude, his antithesis. Satan? Lucifer? Wait a minute. Allah? I mean, where are we going with this? That's why we have another good book later this week. And it's the guy who wrote this. I've read a number of his papers. He really did a great job. He says everything you want to know about Hinduism and why. So we're going to do it. Ask and you shall receive. All right, folks. Hi, everybody. It's been a long time since I caught a noontime session with my brother. Well, welcome, Crazy Diamond. Good to see you. Hey, Lucky, what's up? Thank you, sir. Thank you for hitting up the like button. I appreciate that. So anyway, I mean, these are just questions that I ask. You're completely free to ask or believe whatever you want. That's the great thing about it. You know, when we cross over to the great beyond, I guess we'll be beyond questioning. I don't know. Hey, CJ, what's up? It's lambs to the slaughter. Well, isn't that the idea of a shepherd, right? Isn't the purpose of a shepherd eventually to lead the sheep to the slaughter? Am I wrong? I'm just a simple guy here, but I think that's what the ultimate thing is, right? Don't want the wolves to get them because they're going to eat them. And they're going to take them to this. It's crazy. Thank you, voiceover. This is a great place. Hey, Scotty boy, what's up? And there's Miss Trina. What's up, darling? See, Trina on the same thing. Lucky, right back at you, brother. Thank you for yours. Hopefully this channel makes us smarter. I think that is totally subjective, Rick. I know I'm happier. I can't admit that. I am much happier every time I'm with this group. You can't help but not get happy feet. It's just the way it is. So Taylor says, I prefer the wolves. At least you know who they are, right? I mean, there's no fooling on them. And wolves are actually canines. And yeah, and I believe that there are accounts of actually packs of wolves taking care of baby or something. Who knows? Boston Space, right back at you, brother. Lady Ellie, good to see you as well. All right, everyone. We'll see y'all tomorrow with the ladies. And if sure, it'll be a lively conversation. And give me some thoughts on this, you know, the media as an actual living entity. Wow. I got to get a fucking pair of those x-ray glasses, I swear. All right, everyone, until we meet again, thank you, and favorite